Do you think what we call search behavior today of people will completely change?
Google may say that, okay, you just trust this X business. But let's say if I had a bad experience with that X business earlier, am I going to do that transaction? People are not satisfied with one choice. Sometimes UX people enjoy making the page very creative.
Yes, that's our job.
Website is created, but you need users on that website.
I see a lot of not true experts. They definitely have an influence. Now, whether they are truly an authority, I guess the jury's out there.
Even today, some people spend crores on that, and I'm surprised that, hey, in this day and age, they do it.
Kaushal, welcome to the Yellow Couch. How does it feel to be on the Yellow Couch?
It feels amazing. One thing, I'm honored to be here, and thanks for calling me in.
Thank you for taking the time. I'm very excited about today's topic. I'm going to be very honest here. In the very early years of my career, I used to hate SEO.
You're not the only one from the UX industry.
And I guess people tend to hate things they don't understand, or they at least fear them. And so that was me. And it took a long time for me to build an appreciation for it. And so that kind of led to the topic that we chose for today, which is SEO and user experience, friends or foes. And that topic kind of came from my heart because SEO has always been a mystery to me. You are someone who has helped Zoox out on the SEO side of things tremendously, and I thought you would be the best person to come and dispel the mystery of this topic to so many people who I know share the same confusions I do, share the same questions I do. So thank you for agreeing to do this.
Perfect.
I guess let me just jump in straight with, do you think search engine optimization and user experience design can be friends?
Okay, a really interesting question, Saurabh, but yes, they're definitely friends. Let me just demystify that particular thing. And as you mentioned that, hey, this is something which is not only with you, it's there with many people across the industry, right? Where they feel that, hey, when the SEO guy steps into the room, he's going to ask for a long form content, a content which is stuffed with keywords, and something where he would ask that, okay, at least on this page, I need this page to put 1,000 keywords into this particular page, which for a UX person becomes a challenge. He or she does not want that much space to be allocated for something which is not user friendly, or it is not going to give the best user experience. And definitely the things are changing. Google is evolving, and so are the other search engines. Today, when we speak of something like this, that hey, long form content, it can be replaced with variants of content which are driven by EEAT. That is experience, expertise, authority, and trustworthiness. So here the major factor is trust. So what Google is saying, and this it has been saying since the last many years, but what we are seeing is every day these days, the importance of EEAT is improving. At the same time, Google is taking several steps in the direction which would lead us to be more user friendly, and definitely SEO and user experience teams will become friends more than ever. Now let's go into a little deeper into that EEAT concept. What we are trying to do is that, hey, the website needs to win the trust of the person.
Yes.
Right?
But from a search engine optimization perspective, the website has to win the trust of the crawler, right? So the question I really have is, so in the UX world, we do user-centered design. In the SEO world, you do crawler-centered design. How can you please both, right? Because at the end of the day, if I make something really trustworthy for the user, but the crawler doesn't like it, does it matter?
So good question again, Saurabh, but let's break this thing down. So when you said that, hey, UX has to win the trust of the user, whereas the SEO has to win the trust of the crawler, I'll not agree with that in entirety. What Google says and what are the other search engines saying? That, hey, user experience is the paramount thing. Yes, it did not have the methodologies and the capabilities to understand that particular thing till now. But over this last 20 years of Google and many other search engines, this has started changing. Especially with the launch of AIs, we are seeing that the intelligence is increasing at a rapid pace. Earlier, if Google had to understand that, hey, what's the authority of this particular website, the only way it was able to understand, at least a few years back, was that, hey, how many people are linking to that website?
Yeah.
At least when Sergey Brin and Larry Page started it, that was one mechanism to understand that, hey, how many people are linking to that main website, and that started that excellent business of backlinking.
Yeah.
Even today, some people spend crores on that, and I'm surprised that, hey, in this day and age, they do it.
Really?
Right? Yeah. So yet that particular business.
So
continues.
it's not a tool anymore that matters.
It's not a major factor as it used to be around a few years back. In some exceptional cases, it does, but yes, it's something which has to be evaluated and then thought about. Now, use cases like this, which were there, have become very negligible in terms of importance. Just a few days back, we were doing some experiments and we found that, hey, one website which had no backlinking profile, almost zero, coming from this high authority links or something like that, that was almost zero. And this website went and set on the second position.
How did it do that?
Where it could compete with many of the larger players. This is purely based on content, and this is purely based on that EEAT content which I'm speaking of, right? So the trust winning part is something which can replace those kind of old practices which were followed. And Google and other search engines over the years, they also know that, hey, there are some weaknesses which they have. They're trying to replace all those weaknesses with some advanced technology. Today's advancement in technology has helped us to take care of that. So definitely a UX person as well as an SEO person, both people are now working towards the user experience, towards the same goal. So that's where the synergies start. Let me give you an example. A UX person speaks of navigation is critical, so does the SEO person. The UX person says that, hey, link all those important pages from the navigation, or at least from the first few pages, right? SEO person is also saying that, hey, don't leave any page orphan. It's just that sometimes our languages are different. But at least at the end, the goals are the same, the objectives are the same. Moving further to that other part of the question where you said that, hey, is it all about getting the trust of the crawler? Now that also is something which needs to be understood, that, hey, even today crawlers are seeing the website in a very similar manner like the users, right? The bots earlier, they used to
so they're more advanced, you're saying?
They were just going through the scripts earlier. Yes, I agree with you there. But today, they are using the Chrome browser kind of interface itself to understand how the page looks, what's the experience of the user.
Really?
Yeah, so that's how the technologies have moved ahead. So there is hardly any gap these days.
I remember one battle I was fighting with my team once, where I was advocating for a one-page website. I felt that as a UX company, we should live up to the principles that we advocate. Less is more, right?
True.
So everywhere I was advocating write less, say less things, fewer words, more impact.
True.
Let's not make people bounce around lots of different pages, one long page where we can control the story in a linear manner. As I was doing that, of course, I ran into SEO, and I was advised that one-page websites, crawlers don't like that because it assumes that there is no structure for me to crawl, and that means that your score is low, you're not trustworthy enough.
Yeah. So that's where the authority comes in again.
Correct. So has that changed? I mean, because does the less is more principle align to the typical more is more philosophy of SEO?
It's reducing, I can say that. That, hey, what was, let's say, being written as 1,000 words content, today that result can be achieved even with a 250 word kind of content. But has it been eliminated? No. While the things are advancing, it's also important that, okay, while they're reducing, let's say, the importance of external linking, to understand how critical the website is, the importance of internal linking is increasing. Now, internal linking on a single page website, that's
zero.
It's almost negligible, right? Even if you do up and down, that's some part of internal linking, that's how it would get counted. But essentially, it's the same page then.
So single page websites are still a problem?
Single page websites, yes. At least we have not been able to do many experiments around that. And as for me, yes, that's one of the problem yet. We need to find better ways to do it. But yeah, that's something where I need help from Google and other search engines. Right, okay, how do we crack it?
But yes, backlinks are not an issue anymore.
Backlinks, at least my experience suggested that, hey, it's not a big thing now.
It's not a big thing.
But yes, again, it is dependent on the domains where you are participating. Google is itself doing so many experiments every day these days. It's trying to get rid of that, and since the last 2 years at least, they have been very vocal about it, that, hey, backlinks have no significance. But 2 years back when we were doing our experiments with some backlinks and other stuff, it clearly gave the results. So we knew that, hey, Google is lying at that point in time. But now after 2 years, when we are looking at that same thing, we feel that, okay, what Google said 2 years back, at least it was in that transition. Now it's happening.
You know, I've always thought of websites as analogous to people, right? So example, if websites were people, right? And you had to, in the real world, assess the trustworthiness and domain authority of a person. If I was to take the SEO playbook and apply it to an individual, a person would be more trustworthy if they speak more and they use the right words. Or maybe it doesn't matter what they speak as long as they just say those words in between. And other people come to them for advice. If that person does that, they would be more trustworthy in the real world. And I guess in the early years of SEO, the same kind of analogy was being applied to websites. If you say the right words and if enough people come to you for advice or reference you, then you are more trustworthy. Am I oversimplifying this, or do you see this?
I like the analogy which is there, but yes, I would say that you are oversimplifying. If I was going to put this particular analogy in the terms of a human being, right, for search engine optimization or even for UX, I would say that the human backbone system, the bones, etc., is more like the structure of the website, right? How many pages, how well linked, that's what it would be. The flesh of the human beings would be more like, I would compare it more with the algorithms which are placed within the website, which are displaying some specific widgets around, let's say, internal linking. It could be around the content which is there, etc. And the skin of a human being, or the words which come out from the person's mouth. So that would be more compared with the features, the visual feel, etc. So that's how I would compare the three aspects.
But in the Indian culture, how we define trustworthiness is not just about by how much somebody talks, right? Sometimes the quietest person is the most wise. Buddha didn't speak much.
So that's where the overall thing has to be looked at.
I was bringing this analogy that trust is, at least to me, not just a factor of how much you talk.
True.
But sometimes more so how less you talk. Are you saying that the SEO mechanics are now beginning to evolve to not just be kind of rudimentary in its approach to measuring trustworthiness, but becoming more intelligent in how it assesses experience and authority?
Yes, and it's been doing so since the last many years, Saurabh. So that's one thing which is there. So now let's say trust. When we speak about that, trust is built on three factors, which are the other part of EEAT, right? Which we spoke of: experience, expertise, and authority. Trust is the major thing which has to be won for a particular website for it to rank at a higher level. Now, how does it gain that trust? One thing, let's say that, hey, it's about the experience of the content or the writer who's speaking that particular content. How well have they been experienced in this particular industry, right? Simple things like, let's say, the author bio. What has been done by the author earlier makes a difference. How well is the author established as an entity within the internet ecosystem, even their social media profiles?
So Google is picking up all of that.
So a human being, Saurabh, is an entity today. Saurabh's content on the page is not the only thing based on which Saurabh is getting evaluated these days. What Saurabh is doing on his LinkedIn, what Saurabh is doing on his other social media profiles and other websites. How well is he published in the media? All of that put together.
Creates my trustworthiness
creates
score.
Your experience. I would bring in first, and experience is helping you build the trust. So that's how it's assessing that, hey, what's your experience?
So it's more holistic now.
It's so holistic as of now, right? So you are being looked as an entity. You are no longer just a person who has written something on the page. When these systems evolve, this is where it would come to that level where you said that, hey, one page of website. So Saurabh's experience, expertise, authoritativeness increases so much, it would help you get into that one page of work.
That's interesting. So what you're saying is, in the near future, my website and its score on or rank on Google would get impacted by my presence on social media.
Not only social media, but yes, media.
But whatever I do,
across
other places.
It's already happening to some extent as of now. but it has not evolved to that particular level that, hey, it will help you rank on a one-pager website, at least. That's something, but yes, those other factors are also helping you. Now let's go into the other factors since we are here. So experience we spoke of. Similarly, the expertise also comes based on all these things which the person has created over the years. And then the authoritativeness comes in. So let's say if you are an authoritative person and you write a post on a particular website, in terms of, since we are speaking more with the Indian ecosystem, let's say PM Modi writes a post. How many comments would you see on that particular post?
Millions, yeah.
Vis-a-vis somebody who is not that well known writes a post, what would happen to that particular person's page and how many comments would come on that page? Hardly any, right? And even if it comes, it may be from the bots. Now, this is something where you are able to differentiate an authority.
Very quantitatively.
That particular aspect of quantitativeness is also becoming more and more subjective.
Authority or influence, right? Because I see a lot of not true experts who also get a lot of comments. I mean, there are all sorts of people.
Yeah, so that's where that subjectivity is there. That okay, what are the kind of comments?
They definitely have an influence amongst large groups of people. Now, whether they are truly an authority on something is I guess the jury's out there. But I get what you're saying.
But it's not only about quantitative, because say somebody is getting positive comments, somebody is getting negative comments.
Does Google also assess that?
Yeah, bots are easy. Even small tools are able to do it. So Google's capabilities are far higher than those smaller tools these days. The positive, negative sentiment. So many ORM tools also have those kind of functionalities. So definitely Google has been able to understand those kind of details, and it's able to understand whether the person is an authority in this particular domain, yes or no. Now all these things, when it is developing that particular entity, which is that particular person, if that person is contributing to some website, to some particular blog, definitely that person's authority will help him or her to rank better. Instead of just number of words, how many keywords are stuffed into that particular content, or how many people are backlinking to that content, all those things is slowly and steadily diminishing.
And how do you differentiate authority and expertise? Are they different things?
Yeah,
from a SEO
different.
Perspective?
Yes, they're different. Let's take an example that, hey, somebody has common cold and he has a history of common cold over the last few months. Is this person experienced with common cold?
Yes.
But is he has an expertise to cure common cold?
No.
He does not has the expertise, right? So at least first you understood the difference between
experience and expertise.
Experience and expertise, it's crystal clear now. Expertise, you will term that as a doctor who's able to treat common cold.
Yes.
Now, there would be doctors who are claiming that, hey, they can treat common cold. But let's say if we take this a notch higher and we move into some operations which is related to the heart. If somebody says that, hey, I am an expert at this particular thing, would you believe him? No. You would look how authoritative is this particular person.
So these things go hand in hand.
Yes, there is a minor difference, but yes, there is a difference. The person would be expert, he would have done a few operations, but let's say when you're trusting your close relative with that particular operation, you're not going to hand over to the doctor.
So you may be an expert, but to become an authority, the world has to know you.
Yes.
Okay. And then all of this then leads to trust. So they're almost like one leading to the other.
Yeah.
So the E, E, A, T are kind of sequential?
No, I would say E, E, A powers the T.
Yes, exactly. So you can't start with T and then get to the
that
E,
reverse, at least I don't have an example to state that somebody started with the trust and everything else is taken care of.
Right.
So people start from the experience, expertise and authority, and then they move into that particular kind of individual or a website which can be trusted.
Wow. So for the longest time, and I've been in design for 20 years, I used to think that if you have a fantastic user experience design, you may still have very poor SEO.
Yes.
Right? But you are saying that convergence is ensuring that good UX equals to good SEO in the future.
But at the same time, the UX will also have to change. Recently, Google at Google I/O mentioned about the generative AI page, and it displayed how the page will look in the coming future. Now, when it shared this particular designs, we clearly understood that, hey, the entire experience is going to change. Google may share some additional information about the websites, which it was not sharing earlier. For example, you are already seeing some part of this in the shopping ads and the shopping section. So let's say if you're searching for trousers, you search for trouser and you see website X. You click on that particular image of website X in the shopping section, which is the free listing.
Yeah.
you see another section with the price of that particular product displayed across multiple websites. Now I'm not only seeing X or directly going to website X. I'm seeing X, Y, Z, A, B, C, all the other websites with their pricing alternatives.
Yeah.
I may take a calculated decision that, hey, product is the same. I'll go
shop somewhere else.
Somewhere else where the price is the least. So that intelligence is being provided. Similarly, in the generative AI world, what's going to happen is Google may give in some more description about that particular product. It will give in some information that, hey, which one stands out based on the quality, or some other intelligence based on its generative AI capability, right? And we are calling this as the generative AI experience. Now, when these pages start coming in, what is going to happen is the number of clicks and sessions on which SEOs are currently banking on, that's definitely going to reduce. How it reduced for the shopping websites a few months back. And instead, what people would start focusing on is, at the end, what's the outcome, which is revenue and conversions. And this is where both the fields, SEO and CRO, UX, everything will converge. Because you are also working towards the same part in terms of UX. The SEOs are also working on the same thing. Because then they no longer want to speak in terms of clicks and sessions, because they know that the clicks and sessions will reduce as and when Google introduces these features. So some movement has already started happening. We've already started looking at those numbers instead of just looking at sessions.
Speaking of generative AI, now before generative AI came on the scene, if I was looking for content on, let's say, self-driving cars, I would type self-driving cars on Google and it would give me a bunch of results.
True.
Now those results would be ranked based on who's done a good job of their search engine optimization. When I type that on ChatGPT, I can say, write a paper for me on self-driving cars, and there are no results. It gives me a paper. So what is the landscape of SEO going to look like in a world where there are no search results?
So SEO may not be replaced with that there would be no search results. See, the comparison which you did.
I mean, in a layman's language, ChatGPT doesn't give me a search result listing.
So people will not go to ChatGPT for this information. It gives an output. So it may be good for my kid's college project, right? And he may do something around that particular thing, take some information. But when I'm actually trying to shop for something, I'm not going to
I'm looking for options. For example, if I say, which is the best UX company in India, ChatGPT will give me a list.
True.
Now, I don't know how it's rendering that list through some large language models, etc. It's very poor.
It's very poor right now.
But do those rules look completely different from the SEO rules?
See,
do they have any alignment? Is it a different world?
So it's taking the information from the internet itself, right? But all these models, let's say all the LLMs, when you speak of ChatGPT based on GPT-4 and others, GPT 3.5 vis-a-vis Google, which is based on Gemini, they're working on different models, right? And the information, the way it picks, it's trying to become more mature and more intelligent. Now, this is something where they've not reached, be it Gemini, be it ChatGPT, right? Today also in news, you would have seen many things around Gemini, that hey, Gemini was not able to give the correct answer for something like this, and that happened. Even when it was called Bard, and the first day of Bard launched, you know how much the Google equity tanked in the stock market just because Bard gave an incorrect answer. Now, people know that, hey, this particular thing is inaccurate right now, and people are not trusting it. But yes, since ChatGPT launched, Google had no option but to launch Bard in a hurry immediately after that, while they were doing the product development since quite a long time. They could not allow it to wait to become mature and then launch it. So both these products, or all the other products also at least, which I have encountered as of now, they are not that mature.
They're not there yet.
They're not that mature.
But then the end destination is a world without search results. Would you agree?
I would not yet agree on that, because a human mind needs alternatives. See, I was going through this particular study, which in fact I share it with many of my participants on the several of my courses as well. 6 lakh people went through this particular study, and where they click on a Google search engine ranking page was being evaluated. In most cases, you see a large section of paid ads coming on the top. And then usually 3 paid results, and then the organic listing comes when the bids are higher. What would you think would be the click percentage of people clicking on the paid results versus the organic results? Just a guesstimate.
I can tell you what I do.
Yeah.
I tend to click on the organic results 99% of the times.
Really accurate. You're very close to the study. So that came in as 1% of the users click on paid search results.
Wow. They behave exactly like me.
Yeah. So 600,000 people did the same thing, what you said.
Wow.
Right? 1% click on the paid results, 44% click on the organic search results. Other people click on the other tabs, or they don't do anything, or they disappear. There is no action after that. Multiple other reasons are there.
That study itself should kill Google's search engine marketing business.
But it doesn't kill. Even that 1%
1%
today,
is enough.
1% is enough. It's much larger than the SEO industry across the globe, right? Google's revenue, they did around 310 billion USD last year, 2023.
1% is enough.
1% is enough. So 1% is giving that much. So SEO industry is yet smaller than Google's overall revenue. Across all the companies together put in, they don't make that much money as Google. So there is a huge space. But what I'm coming to is people are not satisfied with one choice. They're getting a paid result on the top. They're not going through it. You also mentioned about it. You want variety. You want to take the decisions by yourself. You don't want to outsource your decisions.
So you're saying choice will always be there.
Choice
alternatives, options will always be there. However, how do I feature in those choices that ChatGPT or Bard or Gemini renders?
Yes.
Is there a completely different set of rules for that?
Not much. So we already rank for many of these.
Oh, okay.
In the generative AI block which comes in. Many of our websites, client websites, do rank within that block also.
So how do you calculate rank in that? Because this is one output, right?
Yeah, it's one output, but within one output, you see those three smaller boxes. Let's say in Gemini, you see three smaller boxes that, hey, this particular thing came from this websites. Or even when you go into Bing, Bing has a particular way of listing those particular websites.
So there is a ranking in that too.
So within that also they are displaying that, hey, what is the major source from where this information has been collected? And then they're displaying those websites. Yes, it's at a very nascent stage. So basic principles of SEO and UX are applicable even to that particular practice. I would not say just the SEO, but SEO plus UX. That's something which needs to be noted because UX is becoming a bigger part of SEO every day as we speak.
So do you think over the next few years, what we call search behavior today of people will completely change? Like they will not do traditional search anymore and they will just ask generative AI tools what they want as options or ready-made answers or whatever. And traditional search as we know it is on the downward trend and it's going to die.
We use the word ask. So are you referring to the voice search?
Well, it could be voice, it could
as
be...
As compared to traditional, which is typing?
No, it could be hand input. But when I say traditional, I mean just open Google and type in a traditional keyword.
Or speak to it. So that's also traditional.
Or speak to it and get a traditional list of results.
So generative AI is yet speaking on those lines itself that, hey, the results may come in on the page, they will be different in terms of their looks. But at the end, Google or ChatGPT is not going to do the sale or the operational part. Let's say we are seeing e-commerce websites. Google is not going to take away the business of the e-commerce website and sell it on its website, right? It's not going to sell trousers and other things. Or neither is it going to help you with the flight from here to there. At least that's something, at least we don't know if it gets into that business. But as of now, there are no intentions as per me. So now at this particular junction, we need somebody to fulfill that particular request also. Now, whom will the user trust at that point in time? Google may say that, okay, you just trust, let's say, this X business. But let's say if I had a bad experience with that X business earlier, am I going to do that transaction? Will I swipe my card with that particular thing? No. I'll stop using Google if Google does something like that. I have many other alternatives available. So I don't think Google or any other search engine will make a mistake of just suggesting one option to a user.
Because you're saying trust is still something that has to be earned. It's still complicated. It's still subjective.
True.
And so the mechanism of building trust will still be an art and a science.
Yes, definitely. And something which you trust, I may not trust. Because just because I had
because there's subjectivity.
Different experience.
So that whole process of building trust that is called SEO today will still exist in
Definitely.
the generative AI world.
Yes.
It might manifest differently.
Yes, that's happening.
But that
already.
journey, businesses will still have to be on.
Definitely. There's no other way out of it.
Wow. When generative AI came on the scene, as somebody who runs a SEO company, how did you feel?
It was a blessing on the first few days, because the capabilities which generative AI brought in onto the table was really amazing. Specifically for countries like India, what happens, Saurabh, is English is a secondary language for many of our team members, right? And for many of us, our writing skills.
Oh, so it really helped with the copy.
Yeah. Right? It makes the work so easy. That was the feeling in the first few days that, hey, this is a boon.
Yeah.
But with this particular thing came the other days, at least in the first year since the time of its launch, clients got scared. They felt that ChatGPT going to take over Google.
Yeah.
There were those kind of discussions.
So then do we need to bother with
do we do to bother with
ranking on Google, yeah.
right, and other stuff. So they were kind of, a little dilemma was there. That, okay, do we need to invest more budgets in this thing or not? But yes, over the months, people understood that, hey, things are not changing in that particular
fast,
manner.
things are not changing that fast.
So tomorrow it's not that ChatGPT is going to give you the correct answer and you do the transaction there.
Yeah.
Right? So that's not happening. They experienced that particular thing. They looked at that particular thing and it went off, right? In fact, if you look at the Google search trends for the keyword ChatGPT, it goes up like this and then it comes down.
That itself is a mirror to what you're saying, right? Very interesting.
So that's where all the organizations had that kind of dilemma that, hey, is this the right thing or not? And yes, that's a good decision, which instead of just blindly spending, I appreciate that many of them went into that decision-making mode. So that was.
So they were waiting and watching and observing,
how
and
the
then.
Things went. But yes, now it's since the last few months we are clearly seeing that, hey, that particular thing has gone off.
Okay.
People clearly understand that, hey, it's not an alternative. It's just something which is going to facilitate. That
it's a complementary.
Yeah, it's something
tool.
which can be complementary to that particular thing.
So the last question I have for you, Kaushal,
Sure,
as an SEO expert, what's the one advice you would give to a UX designer so that they make websites that actually have the ability to show up on a generative AI result or on a Google ranking more successfully?
While Google is taking care of many of the other things, I'll not repeat those, but yes, if I have to say one thing, is sometimes UX people enjoy making the page very creative.
Yes,
right?
that's her job.
Very creative, and in this particular mode of making it more creative, more appealing, they make the website a little heavier. Now, this is one of the pain point of the SEO industry. They want something to load really fast.
So there is a ranking for that as well, that Google gives you a score based on performance as well.
Performance, yeah. So one thing over there which could be done is use newer image formats like WebP, and what the other thing could be done is there are several tools which can help you understand that, hey, is this particular page qualifying for a good SEO ranking? So there are tools around that particular thing which could be used. Instead of the SEO person saying that hey, this page will not work, it's too heavy. It's better if the UX team and the development team
just
themselves
validate that yourself.
Validate it by themselves, right? So Page Speed Insights is the tool which they can easily use. It's something which is available from Google itself. Many times people are inspired by some pages, right? Or they feel that, hey, I need something like this. So they could at least check that, hey, how is this page doing?
How is it doing from a performance
perspective? So in that case, what will happen is the friction which happens between the SEO teams and the UX team reduces. See, both the things are important. I'm not saying that, hey, one thing is more important than the other. Both are critical.
Two sides of the same coin.
Yeah. So they will have to work together. There's no alternative. And if they have to go through this particular journey, it's better if they understand each other and work together.
Yeah. And I guess the last thing I want you to comment on is I often see UX design people thinking of SEO at the very end. The design is done. Now it's like, let's sprinkle some SEO magic on this, right? And I'm sure I know what you're going to say. Like, you can't do that, right? You have to think about that as an aspect, just like you think about navigation, just like you think about interaction. Think about optimization too from the very beginning. Weave it into your experience rather than add it from the top. Later like salt, right? You can't do that.
No, that's definitely a no. I would bring an analogy of, let's say, an interior designer walking into the home after the contractor says that, okay, I've completed the work.
Oh, okay. A lot of interior designers actually do that.
Walking in after the contractor, no. I would bring the interior designer first, and then the contractor will have to kind of complete that thing. So just the development team completing the website, that's not something which I would suggest. But yes, at least if the interior and the contractor works together, that's a more desirable situation. They strategize that, hey, how the website would be, and then they complete the work, that's okay. Instead of sprinkling SEO, see, a website is created, but you need users on that website. And in today's day and age, organic channel has become one of the most important source, because let's say the ROI which comes from organic, that's the highest. In fact, we have many case studies listed where we have seen almost 84x, 100x improvement in terms of ROI as compared to the other channels. Now, when something like this happens, we know that, hey, SEO is important, and just making a website won't help. You cannot drive all the traffic only via paid. You will have to use organic, and that's where sprinkling it will not help.
Fantastic. Kaushal, I want to thank you for demystifying SEO, telling us where SEO is, what the future is, and I think it's so fascinating what is happening in that whole area with Gen AI. And I'm sure that SEO and UX can't just be friends, they can be best friends.
Definitely.
So on that note, thank you so much, and see you next time on the Yelp Couch.
Thank you, Saurabh. It was a pleasure.